Well, we're starting to get close. March is here. We're about halfway through March at this point. So open water fishing is getting closer and closer every day. Tomorrow we spring ahead, so we're gonna set the clocks ahead tomorrow. I always look forward to that. Winter's starting to wind down, but I say winter's winding down as I look out the window and we're in the middle of a snowstorm. I'm starting to get the fever. I was going through some of my fishing gear, going through some of my fly fishing gear. I'm starting to get the itch. Starting to get the itch for fishing season, for open water fishing in Maine. So as I was going through my gear, I put together a list of essential fly fishing gear that I feel is important, gear that I really like, fly fishing gear that kind of means something to me. I'm not a gear junkie by any means. I'm not into gadgets or gizmos, and there's a lot of that. I'm more into functionality, things that'll last a long time, things that I can pass down to my kids. I like stuff that is good and that will stand the test of time and that I'll use on a regular basis. I don't like owning things that sit in the closet or have to, I'm not the type that has to buy the latest and greatest. So the items I have before me, this is not all inclusive, just some stuff that I really like. If there's an item that I don't have in front of me, let me know in the comments below on what you use and what else you find is super functional and essential items that you use when you're fly fishing. I'd love to hear it. Maybe I'll add it to my collection of stuff. So one of the important items that I always carry with me fishing, and I carry actually this knife every day. It's my everyday carry. This is a Benchmade. Benchmade's a great company, made in the USA. You know, this company, like most good knife companies, if you dull the blade, chip it or whatever, they'll put a new edge on it for free. They'll put a factory edge on it for free. This particular knife is the Benchmade Bugout. I really like the Bugout series of knives. Super lightweight. You don't even know it's on you. I like how it feels. I love the size of it. I love the blade shape. I believe it's called a drop point. The way this knife is shaped. It's got I believe it's a Cerakote. It's on the outside of it. High quality steel. Really smooth knife. Especially if you like to fidget or anything with knives and stuff like that. It's really slick. Really good locking mechanism. You can change up the scales on these. I've left it as is. It's like a composite, this particular one, because it's so lightweight. I don't even know it's there, but yeah, holds an edge fantastic. I carry this every day and it's a must. You know, whether you're cutting leader, need to clean a fish. We do a lot of catch and release, but we also love to eat what we catch and harvest. And so every time we go, usually there's a fish meal planned, and we'll tend to keep a few trout. Maybe a trout that was played a little too hard, played a little too long, a little tired out, might not survive. We'll keep those and eat them again, because there's nothing better than wild trout or any wild game for that matter. You know, super good for you and super good for the family. So a good pocket knife is always a must. So this next item is an item I carry all the time, but it's a must, you know, when you're fishing and hunting. You gotta carry your license. You gotta have some convenient way to store your licenses. And I've really come to like a minimalist wallet. Trayvax makes an excellent minimalist wallet, and Trayvax is made in the USA. I believe it was a veteran that actually started the company. I'd have to double check that. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it's a veteran that started the company. And he had started it, I think in 2013. And I think originally he was trying to develop something to hold reusable plastic bags. And it ended up kind of matriculating into this minimalist wallet company. And this particular one is a Trayvax Contour, I believe. It's CNC'd aluminum with a leather strap. Carries, I want to say, roughly up to 13 cards, and up to 10 bills in the back. Nice quality leather. These Trayvax minimalist wallets are super convenient. Keep it in your front pocket. Super high quality. You basically open the front, you can pop out your cards. Cash in the back. You get an interesting warranty on these. It's a 65-year heirloom warranty, so you pass it down to family members or whatnot, they'll still warranty it for any defects, anything falls apart on it. And again, it's an American-made company. I forget where they're located, but each one is handmade. I really like them. They fit really well in the front pocket, and a convenient way, an easy way to keep your licenses right handy. So Trayvax wallet, check those out. They really are. I like them a lot. You know, I also say I don't have it in front of me, but keeping a little book of knots is really handy to have on you. You know, there's various knots that you tie, from putting your backing on your reel, to your backing connecting to your fly line to your leader to leader connections, and then leader to fly. So it's good to have those handy, you know, like an arbor knot, nail knot, blood knot, clinch knot. The only one that I really have to keep looking up now is, and usually it's on the back of the Cortland leaders, is their perfection loop. And I'll explain that when I get to the fly line. I like the perfection loops just because, so a perfection loop is basically a loop-to-loop connection from your fly line to your leader that you're using. And the reason I like the loop-to-loop connections is the ponds, the way we fish in northern Maine is we fish a lot of small ponds. They're all native brook trout. They've got some of these ponds have some really large brook trout and excellent fly hatches at night. So dry fly fishing can be superb. But the fish tend to get active right at dark, right at when the sun sets, right at dusk. So, and you'll get these nice hatches in the evening, and the fish, some of these ponds, the fish they'll just boil. The ponds will just boil. And you basically have a window of an hour that's like phenomenal fishing. And I don't know how many times I've been sitting in a canoe and you hit that, what we call like the magic hour. And the fish are rolling, they're starting to jump, and then you do a boneheaded move, you get your line all snarled up, and then you get like a bird's nest in your leader, and you want to change out your leader real quick, and the light's low, you hear the fish jumping everywhere, you don't want to waste a bunch of time tying a nail knot or doing something like that in low light in a canoe when you're trying to hurry because there's fish jumping everywhere. So it works, you know, loop to loop, boom, you slide that through there, pull it tight, put on a new fly, and you're good to go. And you can be right back in the action. I've seen a few guys waste nights in low light trying to get a new leader tied on because they bunged up their one that was on there. And before you know it, it's pitch dark and the fishing's done. So I love a loop-to-loop connection. Forceps, you need a good quality pair of forceps. Always good to have these on hand. I mean, I'll put these right on my shirt. Just snap them right here and have them there all day long, all night long when I'm fishing. Typically, I'll use these if I don't have a barbless hook. I'll pinch the barbs because I want to be able to get the fly out nice and quick, nice and easy. And this makes it super easy. You know, a lot of times I typically don't even fish with a net. I'll just bring the fish in close to the canoe, not even take the fish out of the water. And if the fly's in deep, I can just reach down into the fish and just turn that hook backwards and boom, they pop right off. So it's less stressful for the fish. I don't have to pull it out of water. A good quality pair of forceps, it pretty much speaks for itself. So a stream thermometer is a must. This is probably the first thing I pull out every time I'm either approaching a body of water or I'm out on a pond. I keep a journal. My father keeps a journal as well. And one of the first things I'll put down in the journal is what the weather conditions were like, what the water temp is like. You know, it gives you a good idea. Get on the water, maybe there's no activity yet. Take a water temp reading, kind of see where, it can help you predict a hatch. Kind of give you an idea on what the fish activity is going to be like. Too cold, they're not going to be too active. Too warm, again, not going to be too active. You're kind of looking, you know, once you hit 60 degrees, 65 degrees, starting to look pretty good. Upper 60s can be a little more stressful. Low 70s can be a little more stressful for the fish, but the fishing can still be good. So yeah, especially early in the year, I'm kind of, you know, the first thing when I do when I get to the water is literally, I'll take this out, take a water temp reading, and take a water temperature reading, and just try to get an idea of what's going on. Some of the old timers would they would look at vegetation along the streams, and whatever species of flower or whatnot bloomed at, say, a water temp of around 60, 65 degrees or whatever. A lot of old timers would use vegetation as basically their stream thermometer. Unbeknownst to them, they may have, basically that was their stream thermometer. They're letting Mother Nature, the vegetation along the stream, give them clues as to when the water temp was going to be high enough that the fishing would be good. So a stream thermometer is a must. So fly boxes and streamer wallets. These ones, I mean, come on, you can get a fly box anywhere, but I kind of, you know, I like things that are traditional. I like things that are special. And then of course, who could be fly fishing without a Richard Wheatley fly box? And then of course you get to sit down, tie some flies and fill it up. But really good fly boxes, you know, really, they've got a history behind them, made in England. I believe they started production in like the 1860s. It was late 1800s anyway. So it's kind of a nostalgia thing, but you know, I like things that are traditional and that kind of mean something. And anyone who fly fishes, who reads anything about it, would recognize, you know, a Wheatley fly box. So I really love Wheatley fly boxes, and if you're ever inclined, I definitely would get one. Wheatley fly boxes, I like them a lot. Good streamer wallet. Up where I live in northern Maine, we fish with a lot of tandem streamers in the spring. So you'll see that we do a lot of trolling at ice out at our camp, and we troll basically with a sink tip line, so just under the surface, with tandem streamers, and it's kind of a Maine tradition. My grandfather loved to troll tandem streamers, as did my father, and it kind of buys the time until the dry fly fishing gets good. So ice out at our lake is typically usually the first week in May. We've had a camp on a particular lake for, well, since the 50s, I believe, and it basically is like clockwork. Doesn't matter what kind of winter we have. It's basically the first week in May the ice goes out. There's been a handful of times where we've been on the water. I think the earliest I can recall was April 25th. It was early 2000s. We were trolling April 25th, and that was about a week early, week and a half early. But again, it's amazing. It doesn't matter how bad the winter was, how cold the winter was, how long the winter was. It seems like clockwork. First week of May, the ice is out. So a good streamer wallet. This one's an LL Bean. You know, and I had to search high and low for, and actually it was my father that found this. We'd search high and low to find a good leather streamer wallet. Everything's nylon, you know, and I'm kind of traditionalist. I don't think they make these anymore. I think it was just a short run of leather streamer wallets, and yeah, I think Dad had nabbed a couple up, and one for himself and one for me. So yeah, a nice good leather, you know, we'll have it forever. My kids will end up with these someday. All right, so let's get into the bread and butter. Fly rod, reel, and line. My favorite thing to talk about. You know, and the fly rod that you choose doesn't have to be anything fancy. It has to get the job done. Sometimes all you need to do is put a new fly line on your rod, and a better quality fly line. That technology has actually advanced the past few years quite well. There's some really good fly lines, some durable fly lines that cast really well. So sometimes all your rod really needs is a new fly line. And it may be time to update that. You know, you step on them, they get all scratched up, they get beat up, and don't cast as well, get dirty, don't cast as well. But you know, you don't need the latest and greatest. I got a good buddy of mine, Chris. When he started fishing, he bought an outfit. He'd never fly fished before, and you know, when you see a guy go out for the first time, they're kind of thrashing and going it, and you know, it's hard to get. There's a rhythm to it. There's a finesse to it, and once you figure out that timing and everything, it'll eventually become second nature. But he'd bought a Martin outfit from a local big box store, and he fell in love with fly fishing, and he used the heck out of that thing. I think it was less than $100 for the whole kit, and I think he used it hard for 2 years, and then he finally upgraded to something a little better. And he still, to this day, on occasion, you know, if we go fishing or something, we'll pull it out and kind of chuckle. He's like, I had to get the old Martin out. And So I think that fly rod holds a special place in his heart. You know, it's nothing special. Like I said, it was a cheap outfit that he bought at a big box store, and that's what he learned to fly fish on. And man, he put a lot of hours in with that rod. So every time I see it, it kind of warms my heart too. It brings back some good memories. So yeah, my favorite fly rod by far is the rod I use 95% of the time for dry fly fishing. Loaded with a floating line. It's a Sage XP. I built this rod. I got into rod building back in high school. It casts beautifully. It's a 9-foot 5-weight 4-piece. I fell in love with Sage rods. They're pricey. They had some cheaper rods, you know, that were available. But I think over the past, I don't know, 20 years or so, I've built probably 15 rods or so for various friends and family and myself. And I don't own a lot of rods by any means, but it's a good way to pass the time during the winter time to build a rod, and you can build a custom one-off rod that no one else has. Whether you can save money, that's kind of debatable. So the Sage XP is phenomenal. They don't make the XP anymore. They've got some rods pretty close to it, but it's a fast action rod, throws a really tight loop. It'll get out there quite a ways. I like companies that have good customer service, and I like companies that are personable. And I can remember when I was building this particular rod, and so I was trying to come up with a guide spacing for this rod, and I remember I called Sage, and I got right on the phone. It was a girl actually, and I can remember I said, "This is what I'm building for a rod. This is the size and the weight and the application that I'll be using the rod for." And boom, she was like, "Yep, I'll email you with the exact specifications that we use on our rods with those size guides." I was amazed. I was like, I don't know how many other fly fishing companies, and I won't name any names, that I've called, and you know, not to take away anything from the customer reps and whatnot. They're doing a job, and they're doing the best that they can with the knowledge that they have. But most of these places that you call, when you first get to the stupid automated menus that are in them, which seems like everyone has an automated menu nowadays. Please listen closely as our menu options have changed. Well, no, I don't want to listen closely, and I don't even want to listen to the recording. And why are your menu options always changing? It's super annoying. But I won't get off track on that. But anyway, I got right through to this lady, and yeah, she hooked me up real quick, and I was blown away that quick I could get someone that knowledgeable. And like I said, you call some of these other fly fishing companies, and you just get someone reading off a computer screen. And if you have a serious question about something, it can be a little frustrating. They have no knowledge about what it is that you're inquiring about. So Sage got a lot of points with me that day. That's probably one of the biggest reasons that I've always like. Plus, I mean, they make phenomenal rods. They cast awesome. But that really kind of, I never forgot that, and that's how you make an impression on a customer. So Sage XP 9-foot 5-weight. That's my go-to 95% of the time. Oh, reels. You know, a lot of reels out there, large arbor, mid arbor. I still stick with the traditional. I've got an Orvis Battenkill. This is one of their bar stock disc drag Battenkills. I've got, I think, 3 of these, and then some extra spools with different lines and whatnot. I think for the money, they're the best bang for your buck. Nice lightweight reel. I like how they look. You know, in Maine, I very seldom, unless we're trolling and you hook into a nice salmon or something like that, I very seldom play a fish on the reel anyway. I hardly use the drag. I usually just play a fish by stripping in the line and whatnot. But yeah, these are a phenomenal reel. And this particular reel is loaded with Rio fly line. And interesting enough, Rio, I've recently switched to Rio fly lines. I used to be a Cortland guy. I like the Cortland 444. Cast really nice, had no line memory. I felt the Cortland 444 was a little fragile. You know, if you step on it, it gets on rocks and stuff like that. It would get marred up pretty easily. I had tried the Cortland 555 at one time, the high floating tip. That was garbage. That high floating tip cracked, and then ended up, the tip of my fly line would just sink. Yeah, I did not like that at all. And that high floating tip was like a Dyna tip or something like that, they called it. It was also kind of rough. It would collect a lot of dirt. I did not like that fly line at all. But the Rio, I've been really happy with Rio fly line. This is a Rio Gold, I believe. Cast really nice and smooth, slick. Cast superb, seems really durable. The one qualm that I have with it is it seems to have a fair bit of line memory. When I strip it off the reel, that first part of the night or that first, I don't know, hour that I'm fishing, it seems to stay pretty tightly coiled, and I don't like that. I probably should store my line off the reel, and I used to do that when I was younger. Job, 3 kids, wife, I don't really have a lot of time to come up and strip all my reels down, hang up my fly line. I used to have that kind of time, but I've got too many other things vying for my time that, you know, I guess I'll just pay the price and store it on the reel. But the Rio fly line has performed superbly so far for me. And interesting enough, Rio, the company that owns Rio, I believe also owns Sage. Don't quote me on that, but I'm quite certain that the company that owns Rio owns Sage, and they also own Redington. Good companies. So for leaders, I like a one-piece tapered leader. I buy tapered leaders, Cortland, you know, the Precision Cortlands, get like a 3-pack, and fluorocarbon is what I go with. Fluorocarbon's a little more resistant to abrasion, doesn't stretch quite as much, but obviously the big advantage is the fact that it's super hard to see. It almost disappears when it hits the water. So I usually fish with a 9-foot leader with a 4X tippet. That 4X tippet's robust enough that it's not going to break with any fish that I'm going to catch in northern Maine, and it can handle some pretty good sized flies without corkscrewing my leader. And one handy thing, which I don't have with me, that you can, you know, if your leader does corkscrew, let's say if you're casting a big wolf or something like that, and you get that, you know, when you kind of put some slack in your line and it kind of curls up around itself, little piece of inner tube, little piece of rubber inner tube folded over itself, and you can pull that right down the leader, and it will take all that little corkscrew right out of it and straighten it right out. Yeah, fluorocarbon leaders are definitely a must. And you know, I know they're expensive, but you want to extend the life of them. I will, as I'm changing flies, let's say if I use up a foot or so, 2 feet of leader, I keep some 4X tippet on hand, just some fluorocarbon tippet, and we'll just basically change out the tippet. And I can extend the life of that tapered leader just by changing out some tippet. I can use a 1 leader for quite a while, as long as I don't put any knots in it or do anything ridiculous with it. I can get it to last quite a while. So you also have to have a place to store those leaders. And I've got a leader wallet that, again, it was, you know, looking for a nice leather leader wallet, and hard to find. Apparently, I don't know, a lot of companies don't want to make stuff out of leather. So this is, I think this is like from the 70s or maybe even the 60s. My father was in a local outdoor shop in town and was kind of cruising around looking for a leader wallet, and he found this. And I think the owner was like, that's been sitting on the shelf since, like I said, the 70s. And yeah, he picked it up and gave it to me for, may have been like Easter or something like that back when I was in high school. But yeah, a good leather leader wallet is a must. Well, I think that covers just about everything that I find essential to have on hand when I'm fly fishing. And stuff that maybe is not necessarily essential, you know, like a Wheatley fly box, but stuff that it kind of means something to me. It's kind of special. And let me know in the comments below what you use. I'd like to know what other people are using. Maybe it'll give me an idea of something I might like to try. A lot of stuff out there, a lot of stuff I don't know about. So let me know what you're using. That'd be interesting to know. So anyway, I guess I'll sit here the rest of the night and watch it snow, praying for spring. So can't come soon enough. So I guess till next time, get outside. It's good for the soul. See ya.